So sitting in front of me is, I don't know if Jacqui's competitive or not. Or
Probably.
is she driven? I think she...
Yep, driven.
Driven, competitive, over-competitive? We'll find out.
I don't think so.
Hooray for Jacqui Tomlins. She's right here. Welcome, Jacqui.
Thank you, Richard.
So you described in this as crusader. Do you think you're competitive?
Yes, I am competitive. I don't know about crusader, but who knows?
If we're going, well, dog with a bone.
Okay, yeah, dog with a bone's good.
Driven,
I think, is fine.
Driven.
Driven is good. I like driven.
If we're going for a walk, if we're walking the dogs and I'm slightly ahead of you, will you push just to be slightly ahead of me? Will it be unconscious?
No, don't care about that.
Okay. So in other words, you're only competitive about the things it's appropriate to be competitive about.
The things that I feel strongly about, let's say.
There you go. That seems normal to me.
Yeah.
So I haven't got you in to talk about walking the dogs,
No.
as interesting as that is. What have you been up to at your local school?
Well, the reason I'm here, I think, today is to talk about special religious instruction and the fact that our school has just made a decision not to run it anymore.
And what was it?
Special religious instruction is a weekly Christian-based Bible, prayer, song singing session run by volunteers that is provided at various state schools in Victoria. You can opt in or opt out, but that's basically what it is. And it's some people often goes by the name of Christian religious education, which I think gives a little bit of a false idea of what it is.
And because it's opt-in or opt-out, what's the problem with it? If you don't like it, why not just opt out?
There's a number of problems with it. One, as I say, the organisation that promote it, Access Ministries, they do call it Christian religious education, which I think is a bit misleading. And I know that a lot of people have opted their kids in because they think what their kids are getting is a broad-based education in a range of religious faiths. And most parents don't have a problem with that. That's not actually what they're getting, but that's how the program is promoted. They also talk about teachers. And the people who run the programs aren't teachers, they're volunteers with very minimal training, 6 to 8 hours training, and then they can go into the class and run the program.
You've got a bit of a background in this. What did you teach in London?
Well, that's interesting. It is a bit of an irony, and I think most people don't know this, but I was a teacher in the UK a long time ago, and I taught humanities at high school. And I think it's still the case, but certainly when I was teaching there, the one subject that's legally mandated to teach in high schools is religion. That's kind of been around for years. And so I taught an integrated humanities course, which was geography, history, English and religion. But because of the way it was taught, it was true comparative religious education. So all the kids who went through that program came out having a very broad understanding of all the major world religions. They knew about primarily where they were, who practiced them.
Overview,
yeah, that overview.
As opposed to a specific doctrine.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how have you managed to bring about a change at your primary school?
Well, what happened was it's something that had concerned me for a while, and it concerned other parents too. And actually, I did a bit of research into this, and I wrote a blog about it, and that prompted a little bit of discussion. And then probably it was the beginning of this year, it was actually another parent who approached me. There had been a piece in our school newsletter about this, and they had some concern about it and said, is there something we can do? And what I did was to write a blog on my own personal blog, not through the school, but I sent that around to a number of the Kew Primary parents. And what that did was to really just generate discussion. And we had some great conversations, some great playground conversations, pick up and drop off and coffee. And it started a really good discussion about the role of religion in a local secular state primary school.
Key word there is secular, isn't it?
Indeed, it is. Yeah, and that's the point. And this was not anything to do about having to go at religion. Absolutely not. In fact, a lot of the conversations I had with parents in the playground were people who had a religious faith. So it wasn't about that at all. It was about the fact that religion is important for many, many people, but it's important for the family, and that perhaps the appropriate place for people to practice that religion is within the family and within their own faith-based organisation.
Because we're a secular country.
It's more the fact that it was taking up time during the school day. And the other part of this is that the kids who are not doing the religious instruction...
But they do reading or something? They
do
nothing?
twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah, that's always the thing. When kids opt out, they go,
Yeah.
oh, I'm opting
They're
out.
not-
It's like they're the lesser.
Well, they're actually not, under the regulations, they're not actually allowed to do
That's right.
the curriculum. And that kind of, that
No,
was
because then
kind
they'd
of,
get ahead of the kids
That's
who are
right.
so you can't.
That's right.
So you just mark time.
That's right.
So how did you break the system?
Did I break the system? Well, basically, as a result of this discussion, and it really was an awareness-raising exercise. It was talking to people. It was giving them a little bit more information about Access Ministries and about SRI. And as a result of that process, a number of parents started to withdraw their kids from the program. What happens is the kids tend to be enrolled in prep and in grade 1 because people don't really get what the program is, and they think it's just a few stories, as I say, bit of broad RE. Once they knew a little bit more about it, they started to withdraw their kids from the program.
So it reached tipping point? Eventually there's just not enough kids
point.
in the class?
That is exactly right. Because you also have to have one of our qualified teachers supervise the SRI volunteers as well. So it becomes unmanageable once the numbers get down to a certain point. And that's basically what happened.
There, of course, in the news today, there is the federal government's reversal in court. The father has won the High Court challenge on federal funding of the school's chaplains program. You must have been watching, while you're acting in a little primary school to create a grassroots movement and bring about change, you must have watched with interest this court case.
Absolutely, especially as my son, who's just sitting out there, is heading off to high school next year with at a school that has a very active chaplaincy program. And certainly I have concerns there too. I mean, I think the sorts of issues that teenagers are presenting with these days can be hugely complex, and certainly my concern also for lesbian and gay, transgender teenagers. You would hope that in a high school system, again in a state school, that they would have access to a trained secular counsellor, not a religious chaplain. And I think probably many of the chaplains are well-meaning, and I think there's probably some good ones out there.
Key word there, trained.
Yeah.
Training for what they're going to deal with, not theological training.
Yeah, that's right. It's an entirely different thing.
Was the school open to, your school, your primary school, was it open to this grassroots revolution of rallying the parents, or did it feel combated? Were you in a combat?
No, I wasn't in a combat. That was what was so interesting about it. It wasn't at all. It was about having that conversation. That was the critical thing. It was, I had lots of conversations, as I say, with people of faith. And even those people who had their kids in SRI, recognised that maybe the brand of religion that they were getting wasn't quite what they were after. They also recognised that it wasn't really fair that the other kids got to twiddle their thumbs because their kids were doing SRI. So it was not combative at all.
Did the organisation that would be replaced, the Access Ministries, did they do anything to, I don't know, spread the good word to keep their business going?
They may have done quietly, and I don't know about that. I don't honestly know. I think perhaps they may have spoken with our principal. They certainly didn't approach me or anybody else.
So it wasn't there wasn't a debate at school or anything
absolutely
like that?
Not. No, it was, as I say, it was a very, very respectful, careful discussion where people thought about what was going on, came to this conclusion.
I don't understand what you're telling me. You're telling me you went round, you had conversations with people, everyone became more educated on the topic, and then you united to bring about change effectively.
Yes, isn't that gorgeous?
What? Really?
Yeah, I love it. That is pretty much what happened. As I say, nobody got too cranky, or I don't know. They might be cranky today, but but so far so good. Yeah, it was a very respectful discussion, and that's exactly what happened.
And so rather than try to change any of the other laws, you just got everyone to pull out so it reached tipping point and the whole thing collapsed down.
That is exactly
and
what
then
it is.
Then it follows procedures. Oh,
that's
well,
right. That's right. There's a procedure there.
I don't have enough for this. There's not a quorum, therefore.
That's right. Didn't put any pressure on our principal to do anything that he wasn't happy to do
with. I'm thinking.
That's right.
They
and
just
that was
follow
important.
Their forms.
That's right. So in essence, that's exactly what we did. And that's something that I felt was totally within our power to exercise.
Yeah.
And I think also
So it seems to be. I'm just startled that there's not, I don't know, placards yelling and...
Yeah, no, not required. Not required. And that's why I think it's probably perfectly doable in other schools too.
Well, I guess it would mean chatting to people and having conversations.
That's right.
Not sure everyone's comfortable with that.
That's right. I think so.
Jacqui, great to meet you. Congratulations for
Thank you.
winning this thing. But congratulations more from engaging the community. However it was going to come out, just doing that, I think, is powerful. And parents become more involved and everyone hears the different aspects. That's a very good thing to have done.
I'm pleased with the result, but I was actually very pleased with the process.
Yeah.
The fact that it was very respectful.
No one ever had to go to the barricades.
That's right.
Yeah,
no,
well done.
we didn't. And it just kind of worked out in a very kind of good kind of a way with an excellent result.
Jacqui Tomlins, thank you so much.